Friggin' love nighttime. Nighttime where I live. It's awesome. Welcome to another episode. I'm gonna keep it on this. Welcome to another episode of A Poem for a Sorry Soul. Even though the other episodes have been pretty dark and heavy, I want to let you know that this episode's going to be extremely heavy, so make sure to take care of yourself, take your own pace, and if you don't want to watch, I understand. I would like you to, but if you cannot bear to talk about the subject of domestic abuse, then I understand if you click off this video and do not watch it. But it is a theme I want to talk about and a theme from this book. So, domestic abuse. It's something that I'm not going to get into it too much, but something I've lived through, something I've witnessed, and something I've seen other people live through. I want to say before I begin this, I feel sorry for anyone who has to go through that. That is horrific to go through. So, when I wrote it in my book, when Liam was written, it was written from a point of how do we understand how he does this, why he does this. But the other thing I really wanted to write when I was writing the domestic abuse scenes is really show the nature of it. Now, anyone who's been through domestic abuse will be able to tell you the nature of it, but I really wanted to show it, if that makes sense. And not in like an entertaining way. This is not entertainment. This is a critique. Not even a critique. I don't even know what to call it, but I wanted to show a lot of things about it. First off, in a lot of domestic abuse cases, especially involving families or children, and I don't mean any respect to mothers, but a lot of times mothers stay. It's either because the abuser's guilt-tripping them, or they don't want the family to be separated, or it can be a myriad of reasons. But these situations, usually people stay in. Sometimes it's because of self-esteem, low self-esteem, and just not knowing that you deserve better. And that's something we see with Liam's mother. Liam's mother is one of the sweetest characters I think I've ever written out of any of them. And that's hard to say because I've written some pretty sweet characters, even besides the books I've written this year. But she doesn't see how toxic this is for Liam, which isn't her fault per se. I mean, yes and no, depending on how you look at it. But domestic abuse is never the victim's fault. That's something I want to say first. It is never the victim's fault. It's never the victim's fault. Never. With that being said, Liam's mother stays in this toxic relationship that ends up like sprouting into this ugly beast for Liam. She does it all out of care. But when we look at a character like Liam's dad, it's more than just abuse. A lot of times with abusers, they've been hurt before too. I mean, yes, that sounds cheesy, but it's honestly the truth. I mean, if you know pain and you don't have a way to take it out, there's a lot of things people do. Sometimes it's drugs, sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's both drugs and alcohol and abuse. Or sometimes it's unfortunate as suicide. But Liam's father, which isn't really explored in this book at least, but Liam's father has been hurt before, which does not justify anything he does in the book. No, not saying that justifies it, but if we look at him as a person, we understand how he came to be the way he is. This domestic abuser, this horrible person, and I'm not going to this episode is not to say he's a good person at all, but this domestic abuser is way more than just, woke up one day and I'm beating my wife, I want to laugh about it, but it's not funny. It's really not. I shouldn't have laughed at that, but anyways, the point is, domestic abuse destroys families. It destroys a child's self-esteem and their psyche, and it destroys the family. And a lot of what happens in the book happens because of this domestic abuse. And this isn't again, not to insult mothers or any girlfriend or girls that are in a relationship that is domestically abusive, but a lot of times the girls don't leave, or the man doesn't leave, or someone doesn't leave, the victim doesn't leave. That's one thing I want to say. When you look at this story, if you can see parallels with anyone you're living with to Liam's father, you need to leave them, cut them off. All of what happened in the book could have been prevented if Liam's mom was like, okay, we're leaving. Which, it's not easy. That's not to say it's easy at all. Not here to tell you that. But a lot of times, when we stay in these relationships, we compromise our kids, we compromise our family, And the reason I wrote Liam's dad the way I did was to show the true nature of it. A lot of times, especially now, it seems like we see domestic abuse in movies or domestic abuse in like these popular books and films, and it's just shown in a way that's not true. It's so fake. And I hate to say that because it sounds so narcissistic to be like it's fake, but it is. It's usually years of, I don't want to say grooming, but grooming. When we look at what happened in the book, Liam's father continuously shows his true colors, and Liam's mother just stays because, oh, he'll make it up to me. Oh, but the promise never comes. In fact, because of the promise never coming, Liam does what he does. It's one of the factors of why Liam does what he does. Domestic abuse does so many horrible things to a person. It can cause so many tragedies. It can make domestic abusers, like, more of them. So when I wrote all of this book, I wanted to show the true nature of it. I wanted to show not this Hollywood glamorized, like, bullshit that we see with films and, like, books. I wanted to show the true graphic nature of it, because it's not just horrible, but it is some of the worst things humanity can do to each other. So when you look and when you read this book, I want you to understand these signs that you see in the book. Not only from Liam's father's need to self-medicate with alcohol, just the way he treats Liam, just the way he treats his mother. None of that is ever okay and should never be justified and should never happen. That is something I want everyone to understand when they read this book. Yes, there is a lot more to the story than just that, but when you read it, I want you to be able to look at those signs, and when you go out into the world and you're like, hey, I noticed that, that's not okay. That's what I want to happen. I want you to go out after reading this book and be like, hey, that's domestic abuse. That's not okay. We can prevent these situations by preventing the environments that are caused to make them. Domestic abuse isn't just as simple as people getting in a relationship and suddenly one's beating on the other. It's not that simple. There is so much that goes into it. So much grooming, so much, I love you, but I don't, but I love you. It's just, when you read this book, I want you to see the nature of it. If anything, I don't want it to be justified or glorified. Every movie, I mean, there was a book, I'm not going to name it because I don't feel like starting a war on the internet, but there was a book about, like, romanticizing domestic abuse. Sorry, but that's not okay. In no world is that ever okay. No child should have to go through that. So this book really is important to show what these situations can look like and how they can affect a child, even to the point of Liam doing what he does. That's mostly what I have to say on this topic. I'm sorry for the really heavy episode. Go get some water, go get some food, take care of yourself. We have one last episode to go, so I'll catch you on the next one. Adios.